Welcome to Mindful Leadership, Transforming Lives, with your host, Singh. This is where leadership meets purpose, presence, and passion. In today's fast paced, high pressure world, we face a leadership crisis. Too often, teams are led by managers who lack empathy, clarity, and vision, leaving individuals uninspired, disconnected, and undervalued. But it doesn't have to be this way. Great leadership isn't born, it's built. The end game: empower your leadership, inspire the world. Every week, join me, your host Singh, as we tackle the gaps in leadership and life coaching head on, learning how mindfulness, emotional intelligence, and compassion can redefine success. This isn't just another podcast, it's a mission to fill the void left by ineffective leadership. And it's not just about leadership in business. Life coaching for leaders and new executives is at heart of this journey. Ready to rise above the noise and lead with clarity, purpose, and impact? Join a global movement dedicated to reshaping the future of leadership one mindful moment at a time. Let's begin. Welcome to another episode of Mindful Leadership, Transforming Lives on the Transformation Network. I am your host, Singh, and today we are diving into one of the most important conversations you will ever have with yourself: how to break, feel, and heal, and lead with heart. Here is the truth: life will break you. It's not if, it's when. Whether it's a personal setback, professional failure, or a crisis of confidence, we all face moments where we feel shattered. And it's in those moments that resilience is born, not by ignoring the pain, but by embracing it, learning from it, and using it to go stronger. Today, I'm going to introduce you to the Heart framework, a simple yet powerful tool designed to help you navigate emotional challenges with clarity and intention. We will explore how to harmonize your emotion, examine without judgment, align your actions with your values, respond mindfully, and track your growth over time. So, buckle up, because this isn't just about bouncing back, it's about breaking, feeling, and healing, and leading with purpose. So, let's dive into the breaking point. We all have been there, and we that moment when it feels like the ground has been ripped out of under us. Maybe it was a job loss, breakup, or even something simple like your kid using the wall in the personal art gallery right before your big Zoom meeting. Whatever it is, it hits you like a freight train, and suddenly you are in pieces. But here's the thing: breaking isn't the failure, breaking is transformation. Let me say that again for people in the back: breaking is transformation. You see, our culture is obsessed with this idea of being unshakable. It's like we're supposed to just power through everything, slap a smile on our face, and pretend we are fine while we are secretly Googling how to cry quietly during meetings. But let me tell you, that's not resilience. Resilience isn't about being unbreakable, it's about what you do after you break. Think about it. When you break something, a bone, a glass, your favorite mug, what happens? You don't throw it away. Well, unless it's that mug from your old job you secretly hate it, right? You fix it. And often it comes back stronger. In Japan, they have this art form called kintsugi, where they repair broken pottery with gold. The idea is that cracks don't make it less valuable, that make it more beautiful. The same is true with us. Breaking isn't the end, it's the beginning. It's the moment when you have the chance to rebuild stronger, more authentically, and with greater clarity. Let's get real for a second. If you have ever been through a tough breakup, you know what I'm talking about. At first, you are curled up on the couch eating ice cream straight from out of the carton, watching the returns of the office, but eventually you have that moment where you think, wait, I deserve better. And then you get back out there stronger and with clearer boundaries. That's resilience in action. Let's zoom out for a minute. It's not just individuals who break, systems break too. Look at the world right now. Layoffs are everywhere, war everywhere. The economy feels like it's held together with duct tape. And don't even get me started with social media. It's like a 24/7 breaking news channel of doom. But here's the thing, when systems break, it forces us to rethink and rebuild. Take remote work example, for example. The pandemic broke the traditional 9 to 5 office model. And now millions of people are figuring out how to work smarter, not harder. See, breaking creates the space for innovation. So if you're feeling like you are at your breaking point, remember, you are not alone. You are not alone in this. The world is right there with you, and breaking doesn't mean it's over. It means something new is beginning. So the heart framework really talks about harmonizing, examining, aligning, responding, and tracking the growth. So let's talk about how we actually navigate those breaking points. So this is where the first step of the heart framework comes in harmonize. When you feel broken, the most important thing you can do is pause, breathe, and ground yourself. I know. Take a deep breath sounds like kind of advice you would get from a yoga teacher who hasn't faced a real problem since their kombucha ran out, right? But trust me, this works. Here's why. When you are in the middle of a breakdown, your brain goes into flight or fight mode. Your heart rate spikes, your breathing gets shallow, and suddenly you are spiraling. Harmonizing is about hitting the pause button on that spiral that, and bringing yourself back to the present moment. Now, let's be real. Harmonizing in the middle of chaos isn't always easy. Imagine you are at the airport, your flight's been delayed, your phone's at 2% charge, and the only charger inside is guarded by a guy who looks like he hasn't slept since 2019. Are you really going to place your hand on your heart and start deep breathing? Probably not. But in moments like this, just taking a single mindful breath and make the difference. You know what's funny? I once tried this during a family argument. Everyone's yelling, and I stood there, closed my eyes, took a deep breath. My uncle thought I was having a stroke, but you know what? It worked. I felt calmer and I was able to respond, not react. That's the power of harmonizing. It grounds you so you can handle whatever is coming your way. So, the first resilience tool for you is harmonize. The next time you feel like you are breaking a pause, close your eyes, place your hand on your heart, and take 3 deep breaths. This simple practice creates a foundation for resilience, helping you face the challenge with clarity. And hey, if you are in a situation where closing your eyes isn't an option, like say in the middle of a work presentation, just take 1 deep breath. No one will even notice. And it could be the difference between snapping at a coworker and responding with calm, collected confidence. All right, let's get into it. Feel to heal. If there is one thing I want you to take away from this episode, it's this: healing doesn't happen without feeling, period. There's no shortcut, there's no cheat code, there's no skip ad button. You can hit to avoid it. You have to grow through it. I know you're thinking, but Singh, feeling my emotion sounds exhausting and it's kind of terrifying. Trust me, I get it. Avoiding emotions seems so much easier in short term. That's why we binge watch Netflix, scroll TikTok for hours, or eat our feelings in form of family-sized bags of chips. And hey, no judgment. I've been there. But here's the thing, avoiding your emotion doesn't make them go away, it just delays the process. Emotions are like that friend who keeps texting, we need to talk. You can ignore them for a while, but eventually they're going to show up at your door. And when they do, it's usually messy. So let's talk about why feeling your emotion is so hard. First, there's the fact that we are not exactly taught how to do it. In school, they teach us algebra, the periodic tables, and how to dissect a frog. But no one teaches us how to deal with heartbreak, failure, or stress of trying to figure out what the heck APR stands financially actually means. Then there's the societal pressure to keep us together. We live in a culture that glorifies hustles and productivity. Crying in the bathroom at work, taboo. Taking a mental health day, seen as weakness. So push our emotions down, slap on a smile, and tell ourselves, I will deal with this later. Hello, later never comes. And here's the deal, you can't feel what you can't feel. Emotions are not just random things that happen to us, they are data. They are signals from your brain and body telling you something is up. Ignoring them is like ignoring the check engine light on your car. So you can keep driving for a while, but eventually you're going to break down on the side of the road, wondering why you didn't deal with it sooner. This is where the second step of the heart framework examine comes in. Examine your emotion. Means naming them, understanding them, seeing them for what they are. Data, not drama. Here's the magic of a simple practice. Pause and ask yourself, what am I feeling? Maybe it's frustration, anxiety, stress, sadness, or even relief. Name it silently in your mind. And here's the magic, simply naming your emotion creates clarity. It's like turning on lights in a dark room. Suddenly, you can see what's there. And it doesn't feel so overwhelming. Studies have shown that labeling your emotion actually reduces their intensity. So, next time you're feeling stressed, instead of saying, I'm fine, when you clearly are not, try saying, I feel overwhelmed. That's the first step towards healing. Okay. Now, let's be honest though. Emotions don't always show up at convenient times. You know how it goes. You're sitting in a meeting, trying to look professional, and suddenly you feel the tears welling up because someone made a comment that just hit a little too close to home. Or you're at the grocery store deciding between almond milk and oat milk, and out of nowhere, you're having existential crisis about your entire life. I had a full-on meltdown once in my car because Spotify shuffle kept playing sad songs. I'm sitting there crying, thinking, why is Adele doing this to me? Turns out I was avoiding some bigger feeling, and Spotify was just the messenger. But the point is, emotions will find you no matter how hard you try to dodge them. So why not face them head on? Now, once you have named your emotions, the next step is align. This is where you connect your emotions and actions to your core values. When you are in the middle of an emotional moment, ask yourself, what value can guide me through this? Maybe it's courage, compassion, honesty, whatever it is. Align your actions with your value, turns emotional challenges into opportunities for growth. For example, let's say you are feeling overwhelmed at work. Instead of reacting by snapping at your coworker or sending passive aggressive email, we have all done that. We have been there. Pause and think, what is my value here? Maybe it is integrity or teamwork. Now ask yourself, how can I respond in a way that aligns with my value? Aligning isn't about ignoring your emotions, it's about using them as a compass to guide your actions. It's like saying, yes, I am frustrated, but I'm also someone who values kindness. So I'm going to take a breath and respond thoughtfully. Recently, I read about the CEO who had to announce layoffs, which is one of the toughest thing a leader can do. Instead of sending a cold, impersonal email, they held a company wide meeting, explained the situation with empathy, and even stayed afterward to answer questions personally. That's emotional alignment in action. They were probably feeling guilt, sadness, and stress, but they chose to align their actions with their values of transparency and respect. Now, compare that to another situation we are all familiar has been happening around the country where layoffs are being announced via email with a subject line that said we are restructuring or we are cutting cost. No empathy, no connection, just corporate jargon. One approach builds trust and resilience, the other leaves people feeling abandoned. Which leader are you? And here's the thing, when you align your actions with your values, you're not just reacting, you're leading with intention, and that's where resilience is born. All right, let's talk about the big R in the heart framework respond. And let me start with some real talk. How many of us are living in reaction mode? You know what I'm talking about. Someone cuts us off in the traffic, and suddenly you're yelling, your car has been possessed by a very angry ghost. Or your boss sends an email at 11 p.m. and you're already typing out a snarky response because you even finished reading. Here's the thing, reacting is easy, it's automatic. It's that knee jerk, I'm going to say or do the first thing that comes to my mind kind of response. But responding, that takes intention. Responding is about pausing, processing, and choosing your next move with purpose. And that's what this step of the framework is all about, learning how to respond mindfully so you can lead your emotion instead of letting them lead you. Imagine you are at a coffee shop. You have been waiting in line for 20 minutes because apparently everyone decided to order oatmeal lattes today. Finally, it's your turn. And just as you step up to order, someone cuts in front of you. What do you do? See, if you are in reaction mode, you might snap at them and say something passive aggressively like, oh, I guess lines doesn't matter more. Or if you're like me, before I learned to respond, you just stew in silence, imagining all the comebacks you should have said. But if you respond, you pause, you take a breath, maybe you calmly point out, hey, I believe I was next. Or maybe let it go because you realize this person is clearly in a rush and your day isn't going to ruin by extra 30 seconds. See, the difference is reacting is emotional autopilot. Responding is intentional and it puts you back in control. It's not about suppressing your emotions. It's about using them as a guide to act in a way that aligns who you want to be. Now, I get it. This whole respond, don't react thing sounds great in theory, but in the heat of moment, it's hard. Emotions are sneaky little things. They show up uninvited. And before you know it, you're overreacting to someone, something that in the hindsight wasn't a big deal at all. Like, have you ever dropped your phone and immediately screamed, my life is over? Or had a tiny argument with a partner about where to order dinner and suddenly you're questioning the entire relationship? If they can't agree on a pizza's toppings, how are we going to raise the kids? Look, we have all been there. Emotions can make small problems feel enormous. But that's exactly why learning to respond is so powerful. It gives you space to step back and ask, is this really worth my energy? 9 times out of 10, the answer is no. Have you noticed how lately everyone seems to be on edge? Whether it's a road rage, social media arguments, or even something as small as losing their mind over Starbucks holiday cups, people are reacting left and right. But here's a recent example that really inspired me. A teacher in California went viral for how they handled a disruptive student. Instead of reacting with frustration, they paused, they took a breath, and calmly said, "Hey, it seems you're having a tough day. Want to talk about it?" The student ended up opening up, and the situation was de escalated completely. That's what responding looks like. It's choosing to pause, breathe, and approach the situation with empathy instead of letting the heart and the heat be two independent identities for you. And honestly, we could all use a little more of that energy in today's world. Uh, I have shared this pause. So let's try the power of pause. Think about a situation where you know you tend to react impulsively. Maybe it's when your coworker interrupts you in the meeting, or when your partner leaves their socks right next to the laundry basket instead of in it. Right? So, whatever it be, next time it happens, I want you to do this. Pause. Don't say or do anything for 3 seconds. Just take a deep breath and ask yourself, what is really going on here? Is this situation worth your energy? Or is there a more compassionate way to respond? By pausing, you give yourself the space to process instead of react. And trust me, those 3 seconds can make all the difference. Now, let's tie back to the third step of heart, which is align. When you respond, you want to do that in a way that aligns with your values. For example, if your value is kindness, how can you respond to a difficult situation in a way that reflects that? If your value is honesty, how can you communicate your feelings without being hurtful? Aligning your responses with your values isn't good for people around you, it's good for you. It helps you stay true to who you are, even in tough situations. Now, the next time, here's a challenge for you. The next time you feel yourself about to react, whether it's a rude email, a stressful situation, or even just your own negative self talk, pause, take a breath, ask yourself, how can I respond in a way that aligns with my values? It is not about being perfect. You are still going to have moments where you snap or overreact. Welcome to being human. But if you can pause even half the time, you'll start to notice the shift. You will feel calmer, more in control, and dare I say, more resilient. All right. So the final step of the heart framework is track. Now, before you roll your eyes and think, oh, great, here comes the homework. No, let me tell you, this step is where magic happens. Seriously. Tracking your growth isn't about writing long winded essays in a leather bounded journal while sipping tea and staring out a window. No. Though if that's your vibe, go for it. It's about creating moment of reflection to check in with yourself. Notice your progress and make sure you're learning from your experiences. Resilience isn't built overnight, it's a process. And tracking is how you connect the dots between what you have been through and how far you have come. I mean, think of it like this. If your life is a Netflix series, tracking is watching the previously on recap. It reminds you of what you have overcome and sets you up for the next episode. Again, most of us are so busy surviving that forget to celebrate the fact that we are well surviving. We are constantly moving on to the next thing, next deadline, next challenge, next episode of whatever we are binge watching without stopping to reflect on what we have learned and how we have grown. But here's the thing, if you don't pause to track your journey, you miss the opportunity to turn your challenges into wisdom. You miss the chance to say, wow, I handled that better than I could thought. Or even, okay, I didn't handle that so well. What can I do differently next time? And trust me, tracking doesn't have to be complicated. You don't need a fancy app or color coded charts, unless you are into that kind of thing, in which case, go wild. All you need is a few minutes to reflect and ask yourself some key questions about your experience. A few months back, I had a moment, the kind of moment I'm talking about, the one where everything seems to go wrong at once. My internet went down in middle of a live presentation. My dog decided to bark like it was epilepsy, and I spilled coffee on my laptop. Classic, this is fine, meme energy, right? At first, I reacted like anyone would. I panicked, but later I sat down and reflected. How did I handle the chaos? What emotions came up for me? What could I have done differently? And here's what I realized: I didn't take a single deep breath during the whole ordeal, not one. I just went straight into panic mode. So moving forward, I made a mental note: pause, breathe, and assess before reacting. And I've been doing that since 10 years, 12 years now. So the next time something goes wrong, it will go wrong. Just be able to stay calm and respond. That's the power of tracking. It helps you learn, grow, and handle life's curveballs with more grace. All right, let's make this actionable. Here's your challenge for the week. Take 5 minutes every day to reflect on one moment where you used or you could have used art framework. How did I harmonize my emotions? Did I take deep breath, pause, and ground myself? How did I examine about how I was feeling? Did I name my emotions and understand them? How did I align my actions with my values? Was I intentional about how I responded? How did I respond? Was it mindful or did I react impulsively? What's one insight I can track moving forward? Write it down, record a voice memo, or just reflect on it during your commute. The key is consistency. Tracking your growth turns every challenge into an opportunity. So here's the bottom line: resilience isn't about avoiding the hard stuff, it's about facing it with courage, clarity, and compassion. And tracking your growth is how you turn every challenge into a stepping stone. Thank you for joining me today and for being part of this journey to build resilience. Remember, breaking isn't the end, it's the beginning. Feel it, face it, and heal it, and lead with heart. If this episode resonated with you, share your thoughts on social media and tag me or tag the Transformation Network. Let's spread the message that resilience starts with emotional awareness. This is Singh, your host. You're listening to Mindful Leadership, Transforming Lives on the Transformation Network. Until next time, stay strong, stay resilient, and always lead with heart. Have a great day.
Thank you for watching Mindful Leadership Transforming Lives. With me, your host, Singh. We are honored to have you join us on this journey to explore the transformative power of mindfulness, emotional intelligence, and authentic leadership. Tune in every week on transformationtalkradio.com at noon Pacific on Tuesdays, where we will continue to explore how mindful leadership can create a ripple effect of positive changes in your life and lives of those you influence. This show is dedicated to helping you lead with purpose, presence, and passion. Whether you're navigating the complexities of business, building stronger connection with your team, or striving to make a meaningful impact in the world around you. To learn more about the show, access additional resources, or dive deeper, visit singhpowerupcoach.com. Remember, leadership isn't just about what you do, it's about who you are. Let's continue to transform lives together, one mindful moment at a time. See you next week.